national champion is clad in big orange. The pitch. Swing into this. That's the ball game. The national champion is clad in big orange.
Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
Tennessee Volunteers have wrapped up an SEC outright regular season title.
The SEC runs through Rocky Top. Tennessee wins the SEC regular season crown for the 2nd consecutive season.
The 1-0. In the air, right center field. Bronx on the move. Won't get there. Tennessee walks it off. This is a mismatch. Deep three. Come on now. And don't connect. Probably Draghi this time. Indeed. And New Hampshire. Booker. Down the middle. Got it on the fly. It's high and again. And he's going to take it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, college football at its absolute best.
Welcome into another episode of the Vol Fanatics Show. Welcome in to an episode of quite possibly the best athletic department in the country. We're live. You know we're live. The chat box is open. The YouTube, let's get it going. Facebook, share the show. But it is Selection Sunday. The boys are in. How are we feeling today, Michael, my co-host?
Dude, we knew already that Tennessee was going to be in because they beat Vanderbilt. They did exactly what they needed to do. It was just a matter of who we were playing and where we were playing. But dude, we still feel great because we're in, and Bama is not, by the way.
Hey,
so
I mean, you know, we'll talk about it. We got a lot of thoughts on that. Got a lot of thoughts on that. Mixed emotions on it. But yeah, anywhere, anytime, any place is what Coach Heupel said last week. And well, it's Columbus. It's at night, 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's Ohio State. And I like it. I like the path. You know, beggars can't be choosers, right? And we always wanted to not face an SEC team, not necessarily because we're scared of the SEC, but because we really truly want to measure ourselves against other competition. And well, we got it. It's Ohio State first round. If we win that, it's Oregon next round. So I mean, we don't face Georgia until the championship game if we were to make it there. Both teams, by the way. You know, we might face Texas in the Final Four, but until then, we got to get our way through the Big Ten. I kind of like it, but before we get too far into the show, I want to let the folks know who our presenting sponsor is, and that is Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he started his own agency, where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust the Chris Smith Insurance today. Give them a call at 865-272-3387 right here in Oak Ridge. Now, guys, remember, insurance, of course, you just want to get that cheapest rate, but you also want to make sure you're covered properly. And Chris Smith is also that guy where when things go south and you do need to file that claim, he's going to show up right there on your doorstep and help you through every step of the way. Thank you, Chris, for your continued support. Michael, you want to give us a rundown today? We got a loaded show today.
dude, we have got an awesome show lined up for you guys tonight. So segment one, we're going to be bringing in the fan favorite, Jake Arnold. Since there is no games to bet on this week, so we can't necessarily go rake in with Jake, we decided to bring him on anyway, and he's going to give his thoughts with us on the college football playoffs. Did the committee get it right? Basically everything with the college football playoffs. Please give your thoughts in the text box as well, and we will get to those, have them on the show. So that is segment one. Segment two, we're going to give an update on the early signing day, all of those that signed this past week for Tennessee, including the one everybody's been worried about, David Sanders. He is going to be a Vol for at least 1 year.
Was you really worried for at least 1 year?
I was not. I was not worried, but there was a lot of Vols fans that were worried. But that's going to be segment two.
Yep.
Segment three, we've got a special guest coming on. Skylar, can I leak who it is, or do we want to keep the folks in suspense?
I want to keep it in suspense, man.
Okay,
it's a surprise. Y'all got to be tuned in to see who it is, man. I'm very excited about it. Zach says, "Let's go, Ball Nation." Miss Terry Drummy has liked the show on Facebook. Thank you so much. We've got like 10 people watching on the YouTube. Guys, comment. Let us know that you're here. We're talking college football playoff rankings. We are in. And like I said, beggars can't be choosers, man. We're in. We're fighting. And I'm really excited to talk about it with our friend Jake.
Yeah, so we got a double ad read for you guys as the Ranking with Jake sponsor will also be part of the segment 1 sponsor. So I'll give you our segment 1 sponsor, and then Skylar will turn around and give us our Ranking with Jake sponsor. So our segment 1 sponsor is Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured, we specialize in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. You can contact Jeff Mole at 865-223-3297 or on the web at hospitalasbestosservices.com. So, Skylar, can you give us our Ranking with Jake sponsor?
That's right. And it's Reed Bryant State Farm. Whether you're looking for auto, home, renters, or life insurance, Reed Bryant provides you with the personalized coverage options that fit your unique requirements. Their team is always available to answer any questions you may have and assist you in finding the perfect insurance solutions. At Reed Bryant State Farm, they understand the importance of safeguarding what matters most to you so you can focus on enjoying the game without worrying about those unexpected events. To reach out to Jake directly, who's about to be on the show right now, you can reach out to him by email at Jake, Jake, at easttninsurance.com, or just give their office a call at 865-457-1505, located right here in Clinton, Tennessee. And there he is, that beautiful, shiny, bald man that is Jake Arnold with Ranking with Jake. We got nothing to really bet on this weekend, but, man, we're going to talk about this college football playoff ranking selection.
Whoa. We got to pump the brakes a little bit. We don't talk about results?
No. Because it's a good result this week. Because, I mean, we were on a bad stretch there for a little bit. 5-0.
We did go 5-0.
Okay.
Champions win. Okay.
Hey, that's how you bounce back.
Hey, and Jake, you know what the bad thing is? This is the one week I didn't sprinkle a little bit on the parlay end, and it freaking hits.
That's tough. Y'all still got money to bet? That's crazy. Because I stopped in like week 8, dog.
well, somebody has been doing the hedge bets lately, so I mean,
that's knowing that I'm going to lose the money to get what I need from the Tennessee Vols, dog. That is understandable. No, Jake, congratulations on going 5-0 last week. That is awesome. Yeah. Hopefully made some folks a little bit of money that obviously ain't me. Yeah. But
I made money along with him. So
there you go. That's what I'm talking about. But no, let's talk about. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen here. We got the playoff.
That's
Vol
a nice
Scoops.
graphic.
Yeah, Vol Scoops, credited to Vol Scoops. Follow his Instagram all the time. He's really avid reporter for the Vols on Instagram. But this is the graphic here, right? My first initial thoughts. All right, there's only one competitive bracket in this 12-team playoff right now, and it is Ohio State, Tennessee, Oregon. Like, when I first look at this, I feel like Texas cakewalks to the Final Four. I feel like Penn State could absolutely cakewalk to the Final Four. And Georgia, I mean, come on, Notre Dame or Indiana? How do they not? Like, I feel like I could almost predict the Final Four already. But that one bracket that we got stuck in, that's a tough one, man. What are y'all thoughts on it?
So I'm going to say that the only other competitive game would be Texas and Clemson. I can absolutely see Clemson winning that game. But the winner of that game absolutely gets a cakewalk into the Final Four. Arizona State has gone on a tear the last part of the season. And Scatterbo, dude, he is an absolute dog at running back. But I still just don't think that they're a match for Clemson or for Texas, whoever was to win that first round game. And as far as the other side of the bracket, yeah, I think Penn State absolutely beats SMU. I think that they walk Boise State. I think Georgia and Notre Dame in round 2 will be a great game that Georgia wins close. Yeah. But absolutely the hardest part of the bracket is Tennessee, Ohio State, and then the winner against Oregon. It's just a dogfight in that particular bracket.
Yeah, and touching back up on this bracket, it kind of got a little wild. I felt like during the reveal, you kind of could see some things going in place. I really didn't see SMU making it into the bracket from the way that
Really?
I didn't from when I saw the first four kind of come out. I thought that they would probably omit purely based off of the way that they had ranked Clemson. And we're not talking about the seeding, but we're talking about the ranking.
Sure.
And so one thing that I really admire with what they tried to do, but they went horrendously wrong in, is they did try to give some bit of significance to championship caliber football. You know, we talked about that weeks ago. Where they misconstrued it was when they didn't allow teams to really just benefit from playing ball and resting. You know, I think Notre Dame's a prime example, and a lot of people will give flack and hate on Notre Dame. They've won 10 in a row. I mean, to me, if you're looking at a trajectory of a team and you're trying to rank metrics, we already see that they're not looking at strength of schedule. Saban touched on it earlier this morning. You know, with what they're doing now is they're really just trying to roll and plug and chug to get as many people happy as possible.
See, that I'm gonna cut you off for just a second because I do think they're looking at strength of schedule, but it's like they're picking and choosing when to look at it. Like, for instance, the reason why I know they're looking at it is, I mean, if they're not, then how's Tennessee ahead of Indiana? So it's like they're looking at strength of schedule when they want to, but I feel like they're not holding it across the entire board, which that's kind of a little frustrating.
They're picking and choosing where they put that strength of schedule.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, and see, I was very happy with 1 through 3, truly. From the way that 1 through 3 came out, I can't argue against it. I could argue against 2 and 3 being flipped, but I could never have argued against 1 through 3 where they're at right now. You know, and then when they hit Arizona State at 4, it made sense just because, like they said, they're a hot
highest
team.
conference champion.
Yeah, I mean. But again, I think it's absolutely devastating. You see what some of these teams have done. You know, we're really giving Texas the 5 seed. I just don't quite understand how you give them that seed when you look at what they are trying to judge and measure. There's no consistency in that end. Now, as far as path to the playoff goes, I really like what I see for Texas. Obviously, everybody loves that 5 seed right now, but I mean, dude, Boise State they've lost one game by 1 possession. And I mean, to me, that tells me enough about what I need to know. If we can stay in a ball game, this is one of those years I don't see who's going to win it. There's not a clear-cut winner. I could see Boise State winning it just as much as Notre Dame winning it.
That's right.
So it's a wild one. Maverick asking about the Ohio State game, man. This is just, I put my hands in my face, or my face in my hands, just out of unreal. Ohio State's they're the $1 billion brand. They're about to be a $1 trillion brand before it's all said and done. And what's going on in this sport right now is they've got to make it to where their narrative fits. Tennessee and Ohio State, they're 2 great teams. They're 2 great teams doing 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
As you see from the way that they put Notre Dame on, they value somewhat of what you've done in the win and loss column. That's bar none. And so if we're looking at wins and losses, I just don't quite see how we didn't get in at 6. I would have thought we would have been at 6 purely based on what happened with Penn State. Penn State has lost to Ohio State. I think that if you look at the strength of schedule on that side, I don't see how you have Penn State over Ohio State in any way.
That's what I didn't understand is how Penn State, and that's where they had the whole, they really rewarded the conference attendees, not necessarily the champions. I mean, obviously they got the bye weeks, but Penn State not dropping as far as I thought they would have. Texas getting the 5 seed. I mean, they only dropped like 2 spots. I thought that was generous. Obviously, that was a very close, tight game. And but then again, you could also say, dude, they were facing a backup quarterback for a whole half of football, and they still lost.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's just crazy. But Penn State still staying ahead of Ohio State with the head-to-head, right? And also putting Notre Dame in between Ohio State and Penn State, to me, didn't make any sense.
That ruined a lot of their argument, and that's the only criticism I have of it, is I felt like if you could have taken Notre Dame and moved them to the 6th spot, it wouldn't have mattered, or even the 5 spot, and then started to choke down Penn State a little bit more. You can feel that all day. But what they did is they took Oregon and said, Oregon's the Big Ten, so we're going to let Oregon be the heavy variable to let everybody in the Big Ten get a little bit of a seat up. And then they tried to appeal to the ACC and the, whatever the other conferences are, and apparently non-conference players get benefits too. So
that's right.
But
Backflip Spaghetti says, who else agrees that we should be hosting Penn State? Now, I'm not going to say hosting Penn State, but I really thought we were going to be going
We
to
should
Penn
be playing
State.
them. We should have been playing
them.
them.
I really thought that was going to happen, and especially with, how this committee comes out, obviously weekly with the projections. How often did 2 projections back-to-back end up being the exact same? That literally only happened with Ohio State, Tennessee. Even with everything changing in the top half. So I had done, and in fact, I've got some Ohio State ties in the family. My biological father actually grew up in Columbus. And I told him last week, I said, don't even worry about it. If they've already projected it this week, it's not going to happen next week. And then, lo and behold, it still happened. But I really was surprised that we weren't going to Penn State.
Can I ask y'all a question? This is just a quick hypothetical. Let's just say that this bracket came out all the same, but the only exception is that you flipped Tennessee to where Penn State is, and you took Penn State to where Ohio State is. So you're just moving those 3 teams. So Tennessee would be 6, Penn State 9, Ohio State 8.
Okay.
You can't argue against that. That's probably the right.
Would.
I mean, but you can't. That's the thing, is they would have less backlash on that.
But I think they would have a lot more, actually.
I would have to agree with Skylar.
Yeah, because you're putting all the Big Ten teams in the same bracket. You're putting all of them in the same quarter.
I guess that makes sense.
I think they did a great job. Now, I hate not having the home game, but I think they did a great job somewhat spreading it out. You got Georgia in the top right 3rd or 4th. You've got Tennessee in the top left 4th. Texas and
if you look
they've done a great job.
Yeah, if you look at just segmenting out where they, if it's kind of weird because no one team is just a clear-cut winner, and go by the BCS formula. That's one of the best formulas in my opinion, because it takes away more of the numbers out of it, and it gets guys who are humans to evaluate ball. Now again, I'm an SEC homer, so that's why I'm saying it. Back to the Ohio State thing, man. I just quite don't understand how you're going to have Ohio State, in that position. I just cannot fathom it. Now, on the matchup, I kind of want to talk about this game because I really am excited about it. I think that this game in general is something that a lot of Tennessee fans are going to be looking forward to, but very fearful of. Ohio State and at Ohio State, you don't get a lot of opportunities like this in a decade, let alone, in the college football playoffs in the first year. This is a game that is an opportunity to absolutely blow the roof off and shatter momentum. I think that if you see a team that can beat Ohio State, Oregon's a good team. They have holes just like anybody, just because they don't have a loss on there. But I think it would be absolutely great because of the trajectory of Nico to come in, beat a guy like Ryan Day, who has a program that just comes from Heisman quarterbacks and guys who are just absolutely, talented top to bottom on every depth. So I think that honestly, I could see this being a really, really, really close game. I mean, really, really. I don't see it being a blowout.
I completely agree with you. There is no way in my mind that I think that game will be a blowout. I can see Tennessee winning close. I can see Ohio State winning close, but I do not see a blowout in either direction because both of these defenses, and I'm going to get some flack for this. Ohio State's defense is good. They're not great, but Ohio State's defense is good, although a lot of people say that it's not. Their defense is good. Yeah. Tennessee has got a great defense. Neither offense has just been world beaters this year. I mean, both offenses have some playmakers. Tennessee's got Dylan Sampson. You've got Nico out there. You've got all the wide receivers, the tight ends for Tennessee that are really good players. They just hadn't put it together all together. They haven't put it all together throughout the season.
Yeah.
Ohio State has got a lot of great players on that team. I mean, you got Jeremiah Smith out there at wide receiver. You got Emeka Ibuka at wide receiver as well. You've got playmakers on that team, but you've got an average at best quarterback that, in my opinion, has handicapped Ohio State's offense this year. So I see it being a low-scoring, close game. Neither offense able to get things going the way that they would like to, no matter who wins the game.
Yeah, I see it just like Michigan, Ohio State a little bit too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's going to feel eerily similar. Michigan's always that old school, let's run the ball, keep it, squeeze the game down. This is a fun one, man. I mean, this is going to feel like we're back in the 90s, in my opinion. I really, really do think it's going to be one of those old, just get in the power eye, give a lot of different looks, and go back to something that you're not used to. I mean, that is one of those things. Opinion on OSU only allowing 3,500 seats for Tennessee. I absolutely would do that if I'm Ohio State. Absolutely. I would want 0 seats for Tennessee. But I'm excited. I think Penn State is a better defense than Ohio State, but Ohio State is no joke when it comes to weapons. Ohio State has weapons on every single position unit.
I do want to bring this comment up though, because Backflip Spaghetti makes a great point. You've got a transfer from Alabama. I can't think of his name off the top of my head now. But he got hurt in that game, and he's been their anchor this season. So I mean, they've got some issues on that offensive line that, they've got time to get fixed. I don't know if he'll be back in time for the playoff game, but that is definitely a concern for Ohio State going forward. And I think that could help Tennessee get a lot more pressure, get into the backfield a little bit in the game. We want to bring this comment up too.
I want to get to this one. I had it pulled up earlier.
Go ahead.
So Nicole came in and said, I say use the BCS formula. It's too hard for the committee of humans, whatever, to decide. She feels like. Now, I want to bring this up because I do feel like she has a point, right? Yeah. But I don't know if it really makes it easier or if things would even be better, but at least it takes away the opinions. So and it takes away, like, what are you going to blame at that point? Because right now we can sit here and hate the committee and the people in the committee, and we can sit here like us. We were talking about how, was it the commissioner? What do they call that guy? But he's the Big Ten. He's the Michigan's literal athletic, director.
So that's the opinion I have on this. I like the committee. Okay, I like having a committee, but I think that whoever is on that committee should absolutely not have anything to do.
No affiliation with a sitting college.
With a sitting college program. It's just too much bias going on there. And I think it should be like a group of former head coaches that have no ties with their program. I mean, obviously, they're still gonna still root for them, still watch them and all that, but they have no active ties. Like, I would even say, and I'm gonna get flack for this one, somebody like Nick Saban. But I would not put Nick Saban. Have somebody like Les Miles on there. Even have a guy like Colin Cowherd, dude.
I can fix it.
Somebody like that.
I've got it.
But,
Michael, you've inspired me. Just all you have to do is you take the coaches that are retired and you tell them they can only judge the other conferences. It's that easy.
Exactly. There you go.
So Nick Saban's choosing on the ACC from now on. All right.
That would be torture for him. But.
That would be. Oh man, that would be terrible. Misery Gaming comes in and says, "Thank you, by the way, for tuning in. Think Nico is ready for this situation, or will there be any struggle, especially early on?" So that's a really good question. You've seen Nico in the last 2 games kind of pop off. Now, obviously, one was against UTEP, I think, in the senior night, and then the next game was against Vanderbilt on the road. Still 4 tutties, well over 250 yards. Kind of had his best SEC performance as a starter this year. But going into Columbus, I mean, what are our thoughts? What are our expectations for Nico going into this game?
I'm gonna take it a game further back though. In that Georgia game, he played very well. He did. And I think he will be ready for the Ohio State environment. Now, this is a different level game than that Georgia game is because there was a lot on the line in that Georgia game, but this is different. This is a lot more on the line. So will that pressure get to him? That's yet to be determined. But I think as far as being able to handle the environment,
I do feel like he did handle the situation in Sanford really well.
So I think we're going to see a Nico similar to what we saw against Georgia in that game. But I want to go to another comment that Misery Gaming put in. Opinion on Ohio State allowing 3,500 seats for Tennessee. I've got no problem with that because if the game was in Knoxville, we would absolutely do the exact same thing.
That's why you get on and you buy their tickets.
Yes, exactly.
Or go with somebody that anyways. No, we got to make it orange. We got to. So my father actually brought this up. We talk ball all the time. We were together. We did a couple Christmas parades, so we had some time to talk about it. conspiracy theorist. They think that they didn't give Tennessee the home game because they know that we would travel. And they felt like that if we went to Columbus, which is not that far away from Knoxville, that our fans are going to travel. Do you think that had anything to do with the fact that Ohio State got the home game over Tennessee? Because, look, I think there was a post made earlier. When we went and played NC State, exactly the same location where the ACC championship was played, Tennessee fans sold, I think it was roughly 70,000 tickets to that game. The ACC championship total number was 53,000 in the same stadium. Like, we travel. So do you think that had anything to do with the fact that they put this up in Columbus, forcing our money up north?
I hope not.
I'm gonna say no. I really just I don't think that they went that far into it. But
dude, I don't
that's
know,
fair.
Man. I mean,
it just got brought up, like we were talking about.
It does feel like Tennessee is starting to be the Ohio State of the South when it comes to what they're investing into their programs, not just football, but what they're investing into each and every program, and that's. Gosh, man, I don't know. I would think that the biggest thing is they just don't care. They don't think about it. They just don't think about it. I think you would double your money personally if you gave Tennessee and Ohio State home games, because who the heck wants to go to Notre Dame and play in that freezing cold? I'm sorry. I saw all that. Nobody's going to travel that. You're going to have to pay me to go to the Notre Dame Indiana game. I mean, goodness gracious. Am I watching Larry Bird play football? I mean, what am I watching?
OSU Mikey comes in and says, but Oklahoma State travels just as much.
No, Ohio State.
What did I say?
Oklahoma State.
Oregon State.
Ohio State. Whatever. My bad. I suck. I only talk for a living. Ohio State travels just as much, though. Sorry, I wasn't thinking of, the FACO issue. I'm sorry. We're gonna talk some trash. No, I'm joking.
But no, I do want to pull up Nicole's comment too. So
yeah.
she makes a good point. So Nico has got to get a rhythm going, and that's exactly what he did in that first quarter against Georgia. Was threw a lot of short passes, got in rhythm with his wide receivers and with his tight ends, and that is what led to him having such a good game against Georgia. Yeah. So she's absolutely right. He's got to get a rhythm going early in that game. To be able to have a good game against Ohio State.
I don't think you change anything.
No, absolutely not.
Ohio State's rush defense isn't that good. Like, I feel like Dylan Sampson could absolutely eat. Like, give that man 150 yards, 2, maybe 3 tutties. I mean, I'm not saying that there's going to be a high-scoring game, but I don't see Nico throwing for 4 touchdowns. I think if Dylan Sampson can find the end zone twice, add Nico maybe 1, right, to a tight end, because I feel like our tight end passing game is really good.
Yes, absolutely.
But I could see us, fighting one. I don't think I agree with you guys. I think there's going to be a very close game, but I don't feel like you've got to change a whole lot for Ohio State. I don't think they show any special. Obviously, they got the really good safety Caleb Downs from Alabama. You do have to kind of work around him.
That's the biggest problem.
They do have a great wide receiver, but I don't feel like I trust their quarterback enough to get him the ball with how good our coverage has been. I mean, Ricky Gibson,
like I said
Gerard
earlier,
McCoy,
he's an average at best quarterback.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm just saying our defenders, man, we've upgraded in a massive way. The big talk in the offseason was this defensive back group. How would they be? We basically overhauled the entire room, and we were kind of scared because of all the question marks. Well, they've been answered. They've been answered so much that we already have guys hitting the transfer portal because they know that they got the answer there, and they're not going to get any playing time. So, really, really intrigued by, is it Jeremiah Smith, that wide receiver? Yes. I'm really intrigued by that matchup with Gerard McCoy, sophomore defensive back, freshman wide receiver, young talent going at it. I mean, those are 2 NFL stars that are going to be matching up in a couple weeks, and I'm really looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah. So a question for you guys, and this is getting away from the matchup a little bit, going back to just the playoffs in general. Did the committee get the teams right?
So Jake's going to say no. I'm going to say yes. And so here's why. They've made it very clear this year, aside from last year, they never came out and said we're getting the 12 best teams this year. The entire season, they never once said that.
Exactly.
Never once said that. And I feel like if they would have dropped SMU out, put Alabama in, there would have been so much turmoil. Not just SMU, right? Because they were seeded 8th before that, or ranked 8th, whatever they were, before going into their ACC championship game where they lost on a really crazy ending. Very reminiscent to the Alabama game, Tennessee game in 22, where they literally got just enough yards with 16 seconds left in the game, kicked the field goal. But like, then if you choose Alabama, you're going to hear outrage from Ole Miss too, because like, how are they just automatically discredited? You're going to hear it from Miami as well. Like the way that they went with SMU, and I think that was the
South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina too, but I do feel like South Carolina did lose head-to-head to both of those teams.
I know.
They did lose, and you told me this last week, so I'm going off what you said.
You're right,
but,
you're right.
But I think putting SMU there just kind of takes away all that chatter.
It does.
Now, you can sit there and argue now, but at least in my mind, the only 3-loss team that got in this year is Clemson, who got a gift. Got an absolute gift from Syracuse to even get into the game. And, I feel like they got it. It's hard to say right, but with this format, man, I think they got it right. I hate the format. The idea of Arizona State getting a bye while we're going to Columbus triggers me. But, like, at the end of the day, that's the way they did it. I don't understand why they put Clemson at 12. The 5th best conference champion doesn't have to go to 12. I feel like they just beat SMU. Why not put them ahead of SMU and maybe put SMU at 12, put Clemson at 11? But other than that, I do feel like they got it right. Because, I mean, the doors you open, if you put in Alabama over SMU after that, that would have been crazy. But, Jake, what do you think?
I just wanted South Carolina in that 11th spot. It just felt so right because it would have made everybody upset, and it would have been awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. So my thought on it is this. I also think that they put the right teams in. Because if you put Alabama in over SMU, you are basically saying that if you are not in the Big Ten and you are not in the ACC, if you are the favorite team that gets beat in the conference championship game, then it doesn't matter. You're out. And that would have looked really bad on the committee to put a 9-3 Alabama in over an 11-1 SMU that was already, what were they ranked? Like 6th or 8th last week in the college football playoff rankings, so something like that. I think they were 6th, if I'm not mistaken. But if you drop them all the way out just because they lost their conference championship game by a last-second field goal, the backlash that the committee would have gotten if they had done that would have been crazy. So I do think that they got the right teams in, like Skylar said, based on the formula. Do I think it's the best 12 teams?
Nope.
Probably not.
It's the right 12.
Yes, it's the right 12.
That's why I said what I said, and that's how I said it.
Most right 12, I guess, by verbiage.
They just never came out and said we're trying to get the best 12 teams in. And honestly, how could you say that when you've got these auto bids? Like, I agree. I think you should get an auto bid, but I don't agree with you getting the auto buy. Like, they got to change that. They got to change it.
16, and if you're not top 16, well, they'll phooey on you. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah,
more money for everybody else in the NCAA.
Absolutely. Couple comments that I want to get to real quick because Misery said something. I'm so glad that he's watching, but he said something earlier. I just did not agree with it.
Was it the
backflip? I'm sorry, backflip spaghetti. I think all games should be on neutral. No, sir. No, this is the one good thing they did. Bring in the playoff games to campuses. I 100% agree with it. Are y'all not agreeing?
All right, so I love that the quarterfinals is
Yes, yeah.
No, it wouldn't be the quarterfinals. I love that the first round is all at the stadiums, at the higher seeds home stadium. I do like that. I also agree with from the quarterfinals on, it should be at the normal neutral site bowl locations.
Yeah.
So
I feel like they got that right.
Yeah, I also think that they got that right. I kind of wish that, and it'll never go to this, but I kind of wish that the basketball March Madness would take a little page from those books as well. And the first and second rounds there are also at home stadiums.
That would be intriguing.
Home arenas. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. We got Adam in here said we at least got the prime time first round spot. Spotlight is on us. That's going to help with everything, including recruiting. I agree with you 100%. Now, I will say this. It's cold up there. Probably going to be cold up there, especially at night. It's on the road at night.
So his
BVS, brother.
His other comment, is it confirmed that game day is going to Columbus?
Dude, there's no way they don't with it being the primetime slot, in my opinion.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way, but I hadn't seen anything confirmed yet. Was the reason I'm asking.
No, and they'll probably say it. It would be next week, right during the weekend after the Army Navy, probably, because they're probably going to go to Army Navy.
Yeah, they're going to Army Navy this.
So they'll probably announce it there that they're going wherever they're going for the. Let's see. Backflip says right teams, just wrong spots. I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. I
can agree with that as well.
Justin tunes in. What's up, my guy? How we doing? The horns and the Vols are in. Let's see. May the best. No, we are the only UT. Sorry. So just to let y'all know, we lost just to get that number 5 spot.
Gosh, man.
Honestly,
we talked about that. We talked about that. Because if you're Georgia, who was it? Oregon. If Oregon loses, they 100% get that 5 seed. And look at the route, right? And then look at if you're Oregon, I would have almost let Penn State win it, dude. I'm serious. Especially with it being a shootout. Like, it wouldn't have been a bad loss. Like, it would have all been a lock for Oregon to be the 5 seed. I'm telling you, if we're making moves to win a natty, like, Dan Lanning got to be smarter than that. But who knows? Maybe he's just confident that they're the best. It doesn't matter where they're seated. I mean, that's how your coach should think. But anyways, Backflip Spaghetti says it eliminates placement manipulation. I like that. We were just talking about if you were to put Penn State up there with Ohio State, Oregon, they're trying to manipulate that to where they don't have same conference. But I like that they did that. The last thing I wanted to see was the first round be 2 in-conference matchups that we've probably already seen this season. But anyways, can't believe I'm stuck rooting for these guys. You know what? It's fine, dude. It's fine. We take that as a compliment. I appreciate you tuning in. The cards weren't shown, so should have, could have, whatevers are out the window. All right. Well,
so guys, but before Jake gets off here, we move on to our next segment. I do have something I want to share with you guys. So I saw it on Twitter earlier. I forget who it was put it on there, but somebody said, I'm not saying Tennessee should come out with a new alternate uniform for this game, but they should come out with this alternate uniform. And it was a video. The first part of it was the intro to Tennessee unveiling the dark mode uniforms for this year. That awesome video that the production team did. And then they clip it with Michigan unveiling one of their uniforms. Said Tennessee should wear these Michigan uniforms for the alternate against Ohio State.
The kryptonite uniform.
That's insane. That is insane. That is wild.
Love it.
I love it.
That would go through that saying that we always said growing up, man, is it was like Tennessee with Alabama. Like, even in the year, or Florida, Tennessee and Florida. Like, even in the years where you had the better team, you had the better roster, you probably even had the better coaches, but definitely didn't. It proved. But, like, it was just something about the Gators. Like, you couldn't beat them. So it was like, man, we would love if they would wear a different uniform and then we could win. But it was I completely agree with that, man. Don't want to wear it, but if it helps us win a natty by chance, man, I'm down. Mike says, oh man, don't you dare.
Man, I just can't forget my dad right now. I'm just thinking of my dad talking about uniforms and the new school versus old school approach. And so I finally remember getting him to say, I think this was right around when Tennessee played Oregon at home. He goes, I don't care if we have 1 billion uniforms and they're pink, purple, and orange. He goes, as long as we're winning championships, I don't care what the tradition is. So if we got Michigan stuff,
I'm glad you brought up this comment. I was literally reading it. Y'all ready to back up all the crap your fan base has been talking about Ohio State for all these years? Now we get into the nitty-gritty, bro. Look, honestly, I don't even care. You realize how much crap we've taken as a fan base from everybody else and that we still take? Like, are you ready to back it up? Because you weren't against Michigan. Like, we did beat Vandy. I mean, basically, that makes us the best team in the nation. Alabama couldn't even beat Vandy. Texas beat them.
It just seems like I would be infuriated, too, if I was an Ohio State fan, because it does feel like that Ryan Day is just slightly a step behind of Josh Heupel when it comes to quarterback play. It's like if we go back and talk about Misery in his comments.
Ohio State hasn't had a good quarterback since
Justin
He's in
Fields, who was gifted
Yep.
to him.
I was going to
CJ
say C.J. Stroud,
CJ Stroud, who was also, I mean,
who also lost to Michigan. You know,
maybe it comes to fruition with the Charles Woodson stuff. You know, I'm just thinking like this is for all of us to get it all off our backs. You know.
So look, we'll get into it a lot more next week whenever we actually talk about the game. You know, give the preview for it and all this. But we talked earlier about Tennessee does not need to change a thing they do for this game coming up. And that's exactly what Ryan Day does against Michigan. He takes his entire, especially offensive philosophy, and changes it because of that particular game. And that's something that you can't do as a head coach. You got to do what's been working for you all season long. You can't just change something because, oh, we're playing against Michigan. I mean,
that's right.
That's the big issue that I see with Ryan Day. And that's the thing that's got Ohio State fans in an absolute uproar right now.
Yeah, I just can't believe Ohio State has done
Hey,
all they did in the offseason.
I want to touch on what Mike said, you know, widely fallen short of expectations. And I don't mean to call out our listeners, but I want you to listen to something here. I mean, go look at his completion percentage relative to the amount of drops that he has seen and watch the last 2 games that he's played. I would say that it's hard to have expectations when they're unrealistic.
I don't understand why everybody thought a redshirt freshman was going to come in. Okay, let's be honest. Is he not like the only underclassman in the playoff quarterback?
He might be, but
he might be. I challenge everybody to look that up. But secondly, like, what did we really expect from Nico in his first full season as the quarterback, as a redshirt freshman? Like, I just, it's crazy to think that he wildly fallen short of expectations. No, I think he's a young quarterback that's growing and learning. And you see him at Georgia, albeit in a loss, he had full control of that offense the entire night with that noise. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. Ryan Day is John Cooper 2.0. As long as it's not Michigan, he will do good. Okay, well, how did we do against Oregon? Let's see. Sorry, that was just off the cuff. I had him as a dark horse Heisman preseason. Makes me look stupid in retrospect.
I mean,
everybody does because they seen what he did against Iowa.
Yeah, that doesn't make you look stupid, but I mean, Iowa relative to, and that's the great point.
Iowa's supposed to be a top 10 defense that he ran for ever.
And it was coming out in a ball
Forrest
game.
Gump. I mean, he was still running against them. And I mean, that is what it is.
Okay, and Richie Dubs here. We really appreciate you tuning in, man. I mean, and we're not trying to dog on you at all, but look, the Ohio State Michigan game is not different than any other game.
I disagree.
Okay,
I disagree.
I
disagree on that one.
Look, all right. Look. From this standpoint, though, all right, I get that it's a rivalry game. It means more. It really does. But
you can't use that mantra for that game. What are you talking about?
Look.
You can't.
Look, let me get to my point here, okay?
I'm sorry.
No, you've got to treat it like any other game, though. Just because it's Michigan, you can't just go out and have a completely different game plan for that game. I mean, you've got to do what has worked for you all season long. It doesn't matter if you're playing Michigan or if you're playing Purdue, who won one game all year. You've got to do what you do well. You can't just change that game plan the day or the week coming up to the game. That's my point behind it.
I was just about to bring this up. Like, yeah, it's different, but how is it different, right? Because us in Florida is different. And we took a lot of crap for going into overtime with Florida this year, but still got the win. And we still dropped in the polls by 4 spots. Remember that? And Adam even brings that up. It's like us arguing, us versus Florida. I get it. It is different. There's something about it that makes it different. But, like, you're not the only team with a different rivalry. Like, there's other teams out there thinking like Auburn, Alabama, us, Florida, Michigan, Oklahoma, Texas. Like, I get it. But, like, everybody has one of those.
Yeah,
What's that?
It's just been really magnified the past couple of years.
It's been magnified because they can't win the game.
Well, it's been magnified since both teams have also been very highly rated, too.
That is fair.
I mean, The thing about the Ohio State-Michigan game is it's just like we talked about. It's one of those games everybody knows about. It's just the same thing we go in against Florida. Like, I think that's a great comparison. The only issue is Florida is not as close as Michigan is to Ohio State when you start looking at relevance and where the neighborhood is, if that makes sense.
How are they not, dude? Ever since they threw that cleat, obviously they kind of buried themselves. But, I mean, I still feel like, in 2019, they took Alabama to the very last minute of the game in the SEC Championship, and they were on their way to the playoff. But you throw a Florida.
Florida, yeah, well, I don't know.
They threw a cleat, and that derailed Dan Mullen into that era.
I guess it did, didn't it?
It did. Ever since they threw that cleat against LSU, I think it was LSU. I think it was LSU,
man.
Dude, he threw that LSU's in Florida. He threw that cleat, and he was literally throwing the University of Florida's football program out the window. Like, that's all it was. Anyways, let's see. Adam says, in conference, it's a different level. That's the respect for the program you're at goes in the other level, media included. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Let's see. OSU Mikey, we appreciate you guys watching. We really do. It's different because it's the biggest rivalry, and if you haven't experienced it, you won't get it. Either team could lose every game as long as they win that game, and it's a successful season, which is why I brought this up and was getting a lot of hate in the comments. But if Ryan Day doesn't do something in this postseason, and let's just say he keeps his job then, if he loses to Michigan again, I don't care if he's 11-0 going into that game. If he loses to Michigan again, I do feel like Ohio State could absolutely pull the plug on Ryan Day. Am I wrong? OSU Mikey, am I wrong?
Look, they're already wanting to fire him.
In retrospect, I feel like Ryan Day could be 2-9 going into that game. And if they beat Michigan, he's fine.
He's got the extension.
He's got the extension. Give that man $10 million. Like, that's just how that game is. And I do understand it. Like I said, I've got family that literally grew up in Columbus. I just grew up in Tennessee, so I fell in love with the Vols. But, yep, even OSU Mikey said absolutely. Dude, I get you. I do, man. It's just one of those things where I do feel like every team, in a way, has that different game. And it's just, it's you know, it is what it is, man.
And Richie, look, I know that there's no game like the Ohio State-Michigan game. And like I said, I'm comparing it to, you cannot – or what I'm saying is that you cannot just completely change a game plan for a single game. It is all I'm saying. But you're absolutely right. There's no game like the Ohio State-Michigan game. That rivalry is on a different level from basically any other rivalry in sports, especially college sports. But I'm just going with the X's and O's side of it. You can't just change everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything moving forward.
So J Matt comments in, the playoffs is Ryan Day's last shot, and I completely agree with him there. Because of that loss to Michigan, making it 4 straight losses, if he doesn't win the Natty this year, he's gone. I don't think he gets another shot next year. I think this is it for him.
What a standard. Let's just one thing you can say for Ohio State, regardless of what we think of what Ryan Day has done there, what the media thinks, it is absolutely insane that you can make it to the playoff, have the season that you're having right now, and have that expectation fall so short just because of one team. Well, 2. I mean, the Ohio State, in my opinion, is one of the best teams in the country, bar none. I mean, they're the most complete teams in the country. I'll hate on their quarterback because I think Ryan Day is not letting him let it loose as much as he could. But again, Ryan Day can figure it out, and we could see this game, going different, and Ohio State can win it, and we don't have that conversation.
Oh yeah, and Richie agrees with you. He thinks that Ryan Day will figure it out.
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah, he absolutely has to.
Yeah.
But guys, I just want to give a shout out to everybody watching. I'm looking up here, and between YouTube and Facebook, we have got 30 viewers across both of those platforms.
What?
I have got Twitter pulled up. We have got 10 viewers on there. Skylar's got numerous on his TikTok. I don't even know what that number is. So shout out to every one of you guys for tuning in tonight.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been an awesome show.
Mike, you're absolutely right. Going back, they bought a $22 million team. I mean, I don't know if that number's right or not, but it's absolutely, when you look at the timeliness of it. I think if you understand what Ohio State had to do, and that's kind of why it's more of a shot to Ohio State, because this year was a little different. You would absolutely think that an Ohio State team that is clearly better in every aspect of the game would come in and want to beat the defending national champions at home. That to me is just kind of sums it up, and why I personally believe earlier in the show why Ohio State should be rated lower. So all that to be said, it's insane. This is a really, really good format for engagement. It might not be the right 12, and we have no idea who's going to win, and it's awesome.
Let's see. I watched both coach interviews after the CFP release today. Got to say, I didn't like Coach Heupel's aura compared to Ryan. Really?
So I did not see Ryan Day's one. I did not get to watch the reveal because I was at church while it was live. I did go back and I saw Josh Heupel's interview, but I did not see Ryan Day's interview during the reveal. What went on with that?
I watched it, but I didn't think it was anything bad. I mean, I felt like he kept it kind of direct. I mean, obviously they hit him with you didn't get the home game. It was by the hair of your chinny chin chin. How do you feel about that? And
no, I'm talking about Ryan Days. I saw Josh Heupel's.
I didn't watch that one either.
Okay.
I mean, I think that y'all answered it without even watching it. I mean, I didn't watch it either, but I would feel like I mean, I'll go back and watch it and talk about it next week or whatever. But to me, it feels like I would have some type of feeling if I thought I deserved a home field, and I'm all of a sudden on a podium talking about the fact that I didn't get a home field, and now my entire game plan has changed. I truly would have thought with Tennessee's schedule they would have been at 6. I truly did.
I do agree with the point, though. I mean, Ryan Day kind of back against the wall type situation. That is a scary situation for Tennessee. You're walking into the shoe, and you got a guy who's literally coaching for his job.
Yeah,
that's going to be pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. My first time pleasure. No wait. Is it second time? I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I think it's supposed to be second time, and he just had a misclick.
Well, 0 and 9 are right next to each other. So now that I'm looking at it, you can hit 0 and 9 pretty close.
There you go. These Bama dudes are straight up losing their minds.
I love it.
They are. But
I don't see how. Like,
don't lose to Vanderbilt. Don't lose to Oklahoma.
When's the last time Bama hasn't made a playoff? Since
before the playoffs. No, it was
y'all are
21.
Way off the mark. Yeah, it was when it was one of the
21
playoffs.
Or 22.
I think it was the LSU playoff when LSU made it. Alabama didn't. Yeah.
No, because Alabama won it the year after. That was COVID
2020.
Year.
Yeah.
So it would have had to have been 21 because last year Michigan won it and then Georgia won it the 2 years prior. It would have had to be 21.
There's been a couple. Now there's also been a couple where Georgia and Alabama make it, and but my thing is like the way the SMU game, like I have a ton of family and friends that are Alabama fans, and when the SMU game, Clemson game ended, they even knew. They were like, yeah, we're out, and they kind of was like, we don't really want to like, we're so inconsistent. We could go in the first round and get just absolutely dog walked, because that game in Oklahoma was borderline embarrassing. Like it wasn't like they just lost. They didn't. I mean, obviously you can argue about that one touchdown getting called back, but you still lost by 3. So you would have still lost by 2 touchdowns, even if you got that one. But obviously momentum's a thing. Mike here, you brought it up, said it's a bad matchup for Tennessee. Their secondary is more vulnerable than their front 7. I don't think you can just ride on Sampson all the way. This guy does not watch Tennessee football, but that's totally fine.
Look, I mean, Tennessee's secondary are they more vulnerable than the front 7? I would say yes, but not by much. They have been proven all year long, and they've been tested all season long, and they have stepped up to the challenge in each and every game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but you watched us against Georgia and you took that to heart when Carson Beck literally had his best game of the season.
No, so he's talking about Ohio State's secondary. Okay. I thought that he was saying that it was I thought he was saying it was a bad matchup for Tennessee. I guess he was saying a bad matchup for Ohio State.
Well, that makes sense because Caleb Downs, you can only have him in one spot at all times. Granted, he could probably cover 2 people at the same time, but I mean, Ohio State, they're not as good as they typically are on the front. I mean, no shot to them. It's just they don't have like elite pass rushers like they have had every single year. Now, I think they have one. I've not watched them too much. I think I've seen one guy they have that's pretty daggum good on the edge. I know they have an absolute psychopath at middle linebacker, I believe. So, I mean, to me, it seems like they have all the things right down the line, but, around the perimeter, that's where it gets concerning. I think Tennessee's starting front seven is quite a bit better as a unit, not individually and not talent-wise, but playing complementary football. I think Tennessee's front seven is about 10 to 15% better than Ohio State's.
Yeah, sorry about that misunderstanding, brother. That's on me. That's on me.
But Rich, I do agree with him that we can't just ride Sampson the whole game. I mean,
why not? That's all we do.
Look, Nico's gonna have to make some plays too.
Yeah.
But I mean, Dylan Sampson's gonna get his in that game.
I agree.
Yeah.
Richie says Buckeye secondary can be had, but you got to have burners. I feel like we got burners.
We got it.
I feel like we got burners. Dante Thornton, if he gets healthy, obviously. Britt McCoy, I wouldn't say he's a burner, but he's by far the most physical wide receiver they're going to face. He's going to fight for that extra yardage. But we got a guy that he's growing on me and very fast. Obviously, Squirrel White, but guys, Mike Matthews,
he's good.
Might be that dude. And I don't know if he'll get that chance, but he looked really good against. And I'm not just talking about stats or anything, because he didn't really pop off in the stats. That dude can block very well too. Like, if you've ever watched him block, it'll blow you away for a freshman wide receiver. Obviously, Dante Thornton's catch, that crosser down the middle, it was like 86 yards. He hits a clean, like, you can say blindside, but he was way in front of the guy. Like, he would have seen him. Great block there. But then there was another one where I feel like Nico was scrambling, and Mike Matthews held his block down the field, 10 yards down the field, held it the entire run. Like, it's things like that show me that, okay, he is young, but, like, the dude gets it. Like, he knows that at the end of the day, when you play for Tennessee, it's not all about just catching the ball running. Like, you got to block, because blocking, just like, that's why they play so much 12 personnel. It's because, man, tight ends, they block more, honestly, than they go out for routes, and because that helps the running game so much. Sean Carpenter has shared the stream on Facebook. Thank you so much. Jade has tuned in, says Vols by, I think that's supposed to be 30. She left the dot there. So I think that's supposed to be. Yeah. Oh, man, we got a new YouTube subscription. Make America Orange Again has subscribed. I hope it's Pantone 151C Orange. That's all I'm going to say. I appreciate that. It's our pocket protection that I would watch the most. Okay, I would agree with this, but more so tackles. The offensive tackles.
Are we talking about Tennessee's offensive tackle?
I think so. I think Adam's talking about Tennessee.
I think that
because Cooper Mays hasn't given up a freaking sack in like 2 seasons.
You touched on it, though. 12 personnel does that for you in some ways.
Exactly.
Because what 12 personnel does for Nico is that it allows him to not just kind of fade out of the pocket. He tends to get a little hoppy sometimes, and he's gotten so much better. I think he really did a good job against Vanderbilt. I think that if you can have extra blockers, it does 2 things. It allows him to just know that he needs to stay in the middle because everybody else is out there, and it also allows him to get it in front of him. I think there's just a lot more that he can see in front with having those guys, and it challenges them.
I think Jake comes in with probably the point of the night.
Yes.
If you can put 4 quarters together. Look, how many teams has been able to do that?
Look, that Vanderbilt game is the closest Tennessee has come to putting 4 quarters together, but they still only put 3.5 together. So
the first 6 minutes was terrible.
Look, if Tennessee can put 4 quarters together against Ohio State and then do that throughout the playoffs, Tennessee can win the whole thing, but that is a lot to ask for a team that has not done it so far this year.
That's right.
So I'm not going to predict that to happen, but if that happens, watch out for Tennessee.
That's right. Mr. Jones, thank you so much for watching, man. We got a whole crew on the YouTube over here. Please, guys, if y'all haven't already, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps us out tremendously. But he says Ohio State struggled versus Michigan's physical defense and run game. Vols have a top 10 rushing attack and defense. Yes, dude, we are top 25, I think, in all categories as far as like total offense, total defense. Yep. We're top 25 across the board. It is going to definitely be a tough task for them as well, but they do get the home game. I think their crowd's going to be in. It's going to help them out. Will Simpson leave for the draft after this year? I think that's a yes. I think that's 100% yes.
Let that man get paid.
I do think
I think
it depends on where he falls in the mock drafts, because he could make more money next year coming back. Than he would be going to the pros.
Let's Khalifa Keith has entered the portal.
Yep.
Is that a sign that he could be coming back, or is that he knows he's already behind Peyton Lewis, who's also a true freshman?
No, Khalifa Keith is already behind Lewis, Bishop, and Cam Seldon. Man. He sees the writing on the wall at this point, and I wish him all the best, because he was all vol while he was here.
Yeah.
And he said it in his post that announced that he was entering the portal. It was a difficult decision for him. He didn't really want to leave, but he felt like it was best for his career to make the move. So I think he saw that writing on the wall. He was going to be fourth string behind Seldon, behind Bishop, and behind Lewis. And he just realized he had to get out. I don't think that's any indication that Sampson might be coming back next season.
Adam brings up a good point. And guys, we appreciate the comments. We're going to keep this rolling until our special guest tunes on. He's not on yet, but he will be here shortly. But Adam says a big W from this game against Ohio State makes it feel like you would go against the number one team and not be the underdog. But I completely disagree. Now, if you go in there and just curb stomp Ohio State in their field or at their, they're in Columbus, maybe. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? Because at the end of the day, Oregon's still undefeated, and I have a feeling that no matter how this game goes, they're still going to be the favorite no matter who wins this game. Wrong? No?
Winner gets David Sanders.
No, we already got
David
David
Sanders. Already
Sanders.
got him, yeah.
Nope. I ain't playing that game. I ain't playing that game.
I'm not playing it either, but that's a funny one right there.
Hey, he's already signed that dotted line. He's here for at least 1 year. So we're not giving him up at this point. So.
That's right. L.A. Massengill, we appreciate you, says OH.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm not finishing it. But anyways, it's been a great talk. Keep in the comments. We're going to keep going. There was a comment earlier that I wanted to get to. Yes. So Nicole said, got to play all 4 quarters, but not make dumb mistakes. Now, here's the dumb mistakes that I want to see cleaned up.
Penalties.
But not just penalties. Offsides. Holding is subjective. I feel like there's holding on every play, and they only call. But, offsides is something that you see, and it completely changed the game against Georgia. Yeah, we had Georgia in the ropes that first quarter, the entire first quarter. I think they had 9 total yards in the first quarter. But in that second quarter, or maybe the end of the first quarter, Beck does his hard count. James Pierce, of all people, jumps offsides. Beck has an easy free play down the field, and that just changed the entire momentum of the game. We cannot allow that to happen in Columbus. 100% cannot allow that. Let's see.
Ohio State's actually a top 10 most penalized teams this year.
Oh, yeah?
Just looked it up.
Ohio State punched above their weight class, only losing by 1 in Eugene. You think?
I disagree. I honestly, I'm
now, to be fair, Oregon wasn't playing their best ball in the beginning of the year, though. Even their head coach said that in the selection show today. Kind of alluded to the fact that they kind of squeezed by Boise State by 3. Beat Ohio State by, I think it literally was 1 point. So, I mean, what was it? Them punching above their weight? Was it Oregon not playing their best ball? Was it both? I don't understand the comment here, but Mr. Jones says, how can any Big Ten team claim to have a tough strength of schedule when they play each other?
Simple. It's
conference.
It's very simple. You just join the SEC. I don't know why people make a big deal out of these things and act like it's that hard.
I think maybe what the question was kind of going towards is, I know let's say for Penn State, their biggest win of the year was against Indiana. Indiana's 11-1. Okay, but who is Indiana?
They didn't play Indiana. It was Illinois.
I hear you, but what I'm saying is okay. Well, hell,
yeah.
Ohio State beat Indiana. I'm sorry, I got put in a pretzel right there. But what I'm saying is, he's saying that Indiana was only good because who did Indiana play relative to a tough schedule? because I don't think Indiana has a single ranked win. So, like, really, Indiana was only ranked because they beat the teams obviously you're supposed to beat, but Indiana was only ranked because, I don't know. I don't know. That's a question. The whole, like, strength of schedule thing is another subjective topic that it's hard to talk about because it's not all under, it's not like the NFL. Like, everybody has their own league. Who said it? I think Cam Newton, of all people, and I do not listen to Cam Newton whatsoever, but it was in a short TikTok clip. But he said something along the lines of they're different weight classes. Yeah. And, like, at the end of the day, you can't have, like, a lightweight in the same national championship conversation as a heavyweight. Like, they have to have their own championships. And that when he said that, along the lines he said that, like, I understood that 100% because you've got teams like Boise who are doing great things, and I think they're a good team. But they're not playing the same level of competition as anybody else in this playoff, in my opinion. But I think a lot of people would have that same opinion.
Yeah. So Adam, with this comment here, I've heard some things about it. I've looked at it, but I haven't gone like in depth into it to see how exactly it pays out. The way I do understand in the first round, So he's saying for the first round teams that lose. So I guess as far as if they lose, each team gets a similar cut. But I mean, obviously the host team would get more because they get all the revenue and stuff from it.
But that would be for all on campus. I have no idea what it is per like the TV ratings. Like, it's going to be somewhat similar, but I don't even know.
This says that the 2020, and this is just a random thing, but $4 million for the 12. Does that sound right?
I don't know. I have no idea what they get.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
But
I want to see this.
We're going to wrap it up. Let's see. I don't know what she's referring to, but Jade said, why not we let Jake Paul and Mike Tyson dance around together? I think she's referring to
she's referring to the weight.
Yeah,
she's referring to the weight classes.
And that's not wrong. That's not wrong. But guys, Jake, I'm gonna let you have the spot here. Any last words? Obviously, we're gonna be talking again next week. We're gonna be making some more picks. But anything you kind of like to leave it off? Do you have just anything that just really kind of bothered you about the selection, or you looking forward to it?
I love it. I love it. I wish there was more. Wish there was more teams in it. I'm happy we get to go to Ohio State. I know it's not the best pick, but that's all I care about, man. Getting these good primetime games, getting them done, and continuing to build a historic program the way it needs to be done. So
look, Jake, the comment about having more teams, that's a discussion for another time because I could go on a tangent about that. We cannot add too many more teams. I'll just leave it at that.
16. That's all I got.
Okay.
Right
we can agree there. 16, but leave it at that. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Jake, we appreciate you coming on tonight with us, man.
Appreciate you, Jake.
Absolutely. Rubbing the head for Zach, man. Y'all take care.
All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to move on in the show. But before we do that, I do want to let you guys know who our segment 2 sponsor is. That was a great segment with everybody in the comment section and also with our guy, Jake. Love Jake, man. And we finally brought him on in the first segment. I think a lot of folks wanted to see that.
Yeah. So Skylar, just a quick update before you give us our segment 2 sponsor.
What's up?
We're up to 43 viewers on YouTube/Facebook. We've got 12 over on the Twitter, man. So guys, we really appreciate all of you tuning in. But without further ado, Skylar, let's bring on our guest. Who is our segment 2 sponsor?
Yeah, I was going to say our segment 2 sponsor is P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Guys, they're right here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. If you guys feel like y'all need this in your back pocket for your business, reach out to them. It is as simple as going to pnlbusinessservices.com. Thank you so much for the continued support. Without further ado, it is my guy, senior transfer linebacker and special teams. He's everywhere on the special teams, boys. He's picking fights. He's pulling face masks. He's doing everything. But it is Eli Purcell, my guy. How are we doing today?
I'm great. How you doing? Appreciate you having me.
Doing great, man. We appreciate you dedicating some time out here. I just kind of wanted to talk to you. What are the vibes right now in the locker room? Obviously, the first playoff in program history, but But how are we feeling? How are we doing?
I mean, we're living great so far. I mean, today it just happened, so we haven't had a whole lot of time to talk as a team. We got a team meeting tomorrow morning, but I mean, we're feeling great. We got a good opportunity to go out there and prove why we should have been here.
Dang right, bro. I love it. Now I'm gonna go ahead, Michael.
So I was just gonna say, I feel like obviously, things are exciting there in the locker room, and everybody's gonna be excited tomorrow morning when y'all have your team meeting. But is it not just business as usual going forward?
I mean, it really is. I mean, especially with this week, it's not even a bowl game, so we treat it like a regular game week. And I mean, for here out, it's win or go home. So you got to come out with the right mindset. So
I love it. All right, so I'm gonna give you a cupcake one. No affiliation with my nickname at all, but I know your mom is a really good cook.
She is.
Yeah, she is. What's one of your favorite meals, and is she gonna be fixing it up for you before you head out for this playoff game?
My favorite meal is chicken piccata.
Okay.
I don't think she'll be making that because she just made another one of my favorites. It's like we just had a roast, and she puts this nice bread with it, makes this good sauce. I don't even know what exactly to call it.
Whoa. Hang on. You just had a roast right after Thanksgiving, my boy?
Yes.
I love it, dude.
Fire.
I love it. That is awesome, my guy. No. Okay. So, but you don't think she's gonna fix it for you before the playoff game?
Well, no, because I mean, I'm at home right now with my parents, but I'm leaving tomorrow, so I won't be here to eat her food.
I got you. Right on. All right. So, second one, locker room. Who's that guy? Who's that guy in the locker room that you want to be around no matter what? Probably the hype man. Who's that guy jumping around? It could be it could be linebacker room. I don't care. Like,
I mean, Omar always.
Yeah.
Omar always get me hype. So
I feel like he's that guy on the field too.
He is.
Like, he get a stop on the field and that boy is going crazy. Him and Jackson Moy, I feel like.
Get it going.
Yes, sir. Right on. But tell me a little bit about the vibe difference. Obviously it's really different, but you transfer from Wofford. What's the difference in being, in that program for several years and then transferring to Knoxville and playing here on Rocky Top? What's the difference in program? Like, I played baseball, obviously, NAIA, and played for a year or two. Obviously, it's probably not even close to the same, but when it comes to working out, when it comes to meal plans, like, what is the life difference between maybe like a Wofford versus SEC, Tennessee? Is there really that big of a difference?
I mean, it's night and day difference.
I figured.
To be completely honest. The time you're investing is the same, but everything else is different. It's all because of money. I mean, Tennessee has endless money to spend on their athletes for their nutrition, their recovery, everything in that kind of nature, and the research. So really, that's the biggest difference, is the amount of money that can go into your training, your nutrition, stuff like that. But the time and the effort is the same from both schools. But
absolutely,
it is a completely different world being here, especially on Saturdays. I mean, you go from, we probably had 4,000 or 5,000 fans at Wofford, and you got over 100,000 here. So it's just a different world.
Right on. What was it like for you? What was it like for you on senior day? Technically,
it was cool. I've run out the team multiple times now, but when you're out there by yourself, it's a different world. I mean, everything seems bigger, everything seems brighter, and
going through the tee completely on your own.
It's cool. It was a great experience.
So I'm gonna ask you, because we had John Ewart on earlier this year, who is a former walk-on at Tennessee. So who ran out before you on senior day, and then who ran out afterwards? Because he was talking about I can't remember now who it was ran out after him, but it was such a big ovation afterwards. He said, I said that it was actually for me, even though it was really for the guy behind me. So who ran out before and after you during that?
Dante Thornton ran out before me. I honestly couldn't tell you who ran out after me. I don't remember.
I couldn't either, because I was videoing you the whole time. I couldn't.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was Dante Thornton was in front of me.
So you basically got the last part of his ovation. So that's actually for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
100%.
So what has been your favorite memory so far at Tennessee? I mean, obviously the playoffs is going to be a whole different animal. You're going to make more memories there, but so far, what is your favorite memory from playing at Tennessee?
I can't pick a favorite, but I mean, I'll give you a good one. Like a great memory was we were at NC State. I guess we were at the Panther Stadium when playing NC State. And so we were killing them by the end of the third quarter. And in between the third and the fourth quarter, they played their hype video. And it was to flag surfing. And we started going crazy on the field. Like our whole team was turning up to their hype video while they were standing there with their tail between their legs. It was some of the most fun I've ever had on a football field. We were all just going crazy, and they had the crazy lights going on. That was a really fun experience.
That's actually funny because that's something that they should be turning up to, and I feel like y'all kind of flipped it on them a little bit.
It was awesome.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Like, put your foot on their throat and don't let up. I mean, I feel like that's kind of been Heupel's mantra. You've heard Nico come out and say that several times. Like, hey, when you're up big, you got to keep going. Don't want to take any moment for granted. You see what happens sometimes. These big second half comebacks we've been seeing, but no, I love that a lot. Let's see. Any moments? Well, let me reverse this. You're on a team now with like 110 if you count walk-ons, right? Maybe even more than that. Yes,
yeah, we're over 120.
Correct. So what is something that you guys do? And this don't even have to be in season, but like, how do you build those relationships with all your teammates, knowing that like, it's a lot of folks on that team. Like, it's not like you're with your same guys, right? You've got your circle between special teams, linebackers, whatnot. But how do you build those relationships with other guys, knowing that there's so many to get to?
I mean, it's really how you carry yourself every day through the locker room.
Sure.
Being intentional in how you greet everyone, how you converse with everyone. But I mean, in the summer, like in the off season, is really when you make it. I mean, I would take guys to go shoot, go fish, whatever, just chances I could get them out and get around them. I mean, go play golf, whatever it is. I mean, you just try to get around the guys, whether it's in the locker room or outside the locker room. But I mean, everyone in Tennessee, I think we have a great culture going on at Tennessee. So it's not hard to build those relationships, in my opinion.
What do you fish for?
What do I fish for?
Yeah. What's your favorite? Catfish?
Like walleye and stuff. Walleye and sardine.
That's right. Now, you went deep sea fishing not too long ago, right?
I went to
Where'd
Alaska.
You go? Yeah. How was that?
That was dope.
Yeah.
I mean, some crazy views, great memories. So
you put a tear in my mom's eye, by the way, that week. You posted a picture with the R1 jacket on, and she was like, "Oh my god!"
Had to get it right.
She went crazy, bro. That was awesome. But you shoot a lot. What's your favorite gun to shoot?
I mean, it's only. I got an over-under White Lightning. It's a 20 gauge. That's what my grandpa got me when I was like 13, and I just shot for so long. That's my favorite gun to shoot. So.
That's sick.
Yeah,
that's sick.
So you mentioned golfing. So be real with me. How bad do you normally beat Skylar on the golf course?
All right, we really went there.
We got a round of golf on the line in our little pick segment here, and your boy's winning right here. Skylar's gonna have to pay for that once it's all over with
by 2 games, bro.
But yeah. So how bad do you normally beat Skylar out there?
I mean, you want me to tell the truth or
no? Like, you actually beat me.
We always tell the truth on here.
I am not very good at golf.
No, that's not the truth. That is not the truth.
I am good on a scramble. If I got a teammate, I'm good.
That's all that matters, bro.
That's all that matters.
Dude,
I'm playing with my teammates, man. But nah, Skylar's actually good on the course. I don't know what you're talking about,
bro. Don't lie to them like that. Don't lie to them like that. I'm terrible.
It
was really fun though. Got to play with you, obviously out at Avalon. That was really fun. But then Topgolf. But you hit the ball, I feel like, way harder than I do. And I don't know if that's just the weight room difference, which that could absolutely be it. But I feel like that ball hurts a lot more when you hit it than when I do.
Just some physics, that's all.
Yeah. All right, right on. Well, man, we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Obviously it's time to grind.
Mm-hmm.
You're going on the road to Columbus. But do you know what day y'all are going to be traveling? Is it going to be? It's not going to be like a bowl week where y'all leave for the entire week, right? Or do y'all leave pretty early?
I mean, they haven't told us yet, but
Sure.
it's not. Man, it's not a bowl game, so I don't know why we would.
Right.
I thought we would treat it like any other day. We'd go up on a Friday.
Right on.
Probably fly. So I mean, that's all I really know at this point.
You excited about playing in Columbus?
I'm excited about playing anywhere. Just
dang right. All right, Josh Heupel, come on now, calm down. Like you can be a little excited about going into Ohio State, bro.
But look, Scott, look that shows that this team really goes after their head coach because he has that kind of mindset right there. So that's positive right there.
Somebody brought up week off. No, right on, dude. Well, no, man, we wish you nothing but the best. I know you're going to be busy. I'm going to try to make it up to the game. I think it'll be kind of cool to be up there. I've got some ties up there in Columbus, so I'm going to be rooting you on. Going to be taking some videos, man. You better show up like I know you're going to. And I appreciate you so much for spending just a couple minutes with us tonight, man. It's been awesome, and that just speaks to your character, and that's why everybody loves you, bro.
I appreciate y'all very much.
And before you go, we do have a Ohio State fan brings in a comment here. Do you like snow?
Who doesn't?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to make it like a bad thing that we're going to play in the cold. I'm like, bro, no. Like, I feel like we've been eating that. Like, come on. Mm-hmm. So no.
Zach also says best of luck, man. So yeah, Eli, we really appreciate you coming on tonight, and you're welcome back anytime. Just hit up Skylar, and you can come back and talk some ball with us. Good luck to y'all moving forward. Bring back a natty for us, man.
And also bring back some of your mom's cooking, bro. I need some of that. Like, come on. For sure, bro. Take it easy, my man. Take it easy.
Appreciate you.
See you, brother. And that is Eli Purcell, man. What a dude. What a dude. Down to earth. Very genuine. And he does love to hunt and fish. I should have brought that up earlier. I don't know why I didn't. But he went to Alaska. And I think it was like May. And dude, he was sending back some fish. Just massive, dude. I'm just like, all right, that's just not even fair. Adam says, Eli, plant the flag if you dare. No, don't do that. Let's not do that. Justin says snow cream is the best ice cream. But even Richie says, good luck, man. Thank you, Richie, man. We appreciate you tuning in for that. What's the next segment, Michael? We got a little bit more to talk about before we sign off tonight.
Yeah, so we did a little bit of an audible. We were gonna do recruiting talk for segment 2 and bring on Eli for segment 3, but y'all been interacting so much tonight that we decided to just extend that segment 1 out until we brought Eli on. So now we're gonna talk a little bit of recruiting. This past week was good for the Vols, but before we do that, I'm gonna give you our segment 3 sponsor, which is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at kaizenpainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So, this past week, as I mentioned, a big week for the Vols on the recruiting trail, as right now they are sitting at 10th in the class, and so far not everybody has officially signed.
Oh, I got you. Hold up.
And
hold up. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier, but I got you. Hold up.
And Skylar, let me ask you, and you might not know. So they changed how the national or how the letter of intent is now. It's not necessarily a letter of intent. It's basically like a contract that you're signing that locks you in for 1 year. Do you know the details behind that exactly?
I don't know any details behind it. It is not necessarily a letter of intent anymore. But yeah, I mean, I think it's more so. I don't know. I have no idea what it is, other than the fact that it solidifies them coming to the university for at least one season. I think it would probably have something along the lines of enrolling. So it might be something that kind of they're signing that says that they're enrolling. But overall, I really don't know. I don't know why. Obviously, this whole NIL era is kind of changing the landscape of things. But we look at here, man, Tennessee right now, as it sits, is 10th in the class, top 10 class for hype. Obviously had a 13th ranked class last year. So we're kind of starting to stack those top 15 classes. Here's the problem, though. You're still 7th in the SEC.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's why everybody thinks there's SEC bias. And no, like we truly just have better rosters. When the NFL draft happens and, half the picks are literally all from the SEC, if not even more than, like, that's the reason. Like, it's just a completely different caliber of ball being played. When you're 10th in the nation and still 7th in the SEC, that's wild. Like, that is a big discrepancy there. But David Sanders was the big one that everybody was kind of talking about this last week. Obviously, there were some talks that he was going to go visit Columbus. And if that were to happen, that was not going to be good news for Tennessee. He ended up not going. I kind of wish he would have. After everything that transpired, I kind of thought that would have been funny for him to watch them lose.
Did you hear the story behind all of that, though? Why he decided to go back and visit Ohio State? Because
I don't know why he wanted to go back and visit. I know why he delayed his signing a little bit. Is he wanted to kind of do it with his teammates at the high school that he attended, Providence Day. But I don't know why about the Ohio State. Enlighten me.
So I do. I heard this past week that he's been committed to Tennessee for a while, and he was almost 100% sure that he wanted to go to Tennessee. But obviously, Ohio State was the other team that it came down to when he made his decision. And he said, you know what? I want to go back and do one more visit with Ohio State just to make sure that I'm making the right decision. So he went for that next to last, I think it was the Indiana game, if I'm not mistaken, that he went to. He went for that game. Because like I said, he just wanted to make sure. And then after that game, he said, Tennessee is where I want to go, which is why he canceled his trip back for the Michigan game. And then, like you said, the reason why he delayed his signing is he wanted to do it with his teammates. So that was the reason behind him going to Ohio State for that game, was just to make sure. He was never really on the fence about Ohio State and Tennessee. He just wanted to make sure he was making the right decision, and I completely respect him for that.
Yeah, right on. Adam says, bad news first. Let's end it on a good note. We had some flips, obviously. How bad were they? He's referring to Shady Hayward, I would say is the worst that we had, was a 4-star safety who flipped. And I think it hurts more that he flipped, like where he flipped, rather than the fact that he just decommitted. He ended up flipping going to the University of Florida. That hurt a little bit. But then again, it kind of got helped out a little bit as we picked up a flip commitment for safety. Now,
that was Sidney Walton.
I don't think he's a 4-star, but I think through evals, he's pretty freaking good.
He is a very high 3-star. He is rated at 87 overall, and right now is our lowest rated signee. So I've got all of them pulled up right here on GoVols 247. If you get a chance, check them out. Very good with all recruiting stuff. So right now, Tennessee in the class, according to them, has 1 5-star being David Sanders. And these are the 4-stars. You've got Isaiah Campbell, big signee there. Defensive lineman, another defensive lineman, Marion Dye. He is also a 4-star. Deshaun Braum, 4-star. Travis Smith Jr., a wide receiver, is a 4-star. Of course, George McIntyre, big quarterback out of Brentwood Academy in Nashville, also 4-star. Nick Moore, interior offensive lineman, is a 4-star. Ethan Utley has officially signed. He is a big pickup from Innsworth, is a 4-star. Christian Gass, also a 4-star. Jaden Lofton, Jaden Perlotte, not sure 100% how you say that name. Jaden Harmon, Jack Van Dorslayer, Radarius Jackson, and Trey Poteet are all your 4-stars that have signed. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 4-stars to go along with your 1 5-star. And then you've got your 3-stars. And these are all highly ranked 3-stars. Like, they are within a couple of points of being 4-stars. It is Charles House, defensive lineman, Tyler Redmond, corner, Joakim Dotson, wide receiver, Timothy Merritt, corner, Dwayne Morris, or I think that's how you say his name, running back from Oakland in Murfreesboro, Antoni Agamoro, offensive tackle, Dylan Lewis, Justin Baker, Brandon Ains, and Sidney Walton are all your 3-star signees. And there's so far one hard commit that is yet to sign, but it's still looking good so far for Tennessee. Very highly rated 3-star corner. I mean, he's a point away from being a 4-star. That is Onis Conenberry, a corner from South Carolina. So Tennessee looking really good on the recruiting trail with that signing class so far.
Yeah, man. And you pointed it out, and I kind of showed everybody right there. Your list was a little bit different order than mine because I'm on the On3 site, but 3-star, everybody just kind of immediately kind of shrugs their shoulders. But like, I think the lowest 3-star rating we had was 86, 87-ish. And if they were a 90, they'd be a 4-star. Like, they're literally 3 points away. Every single 3-star we have is within 3 points of being a 4-star. But if you do your evals correctly, like I think this team does really good at, our staff does a great job at evals. Stars ain't everything. Obviously, you want your 5-star. You want several 4-stars because they're just going to have the physically, physical capability of doing anything as long as they're coached right. But if you can find a 3-star, it's got the right grit, determination, and skill base that you kind of work with a good foundation, you can build them up to be just as good. I mean, I really do trust this staff, this coaching staff, and their evaluations to trust that we still got a really good. The thing about this class, man, is we got some good players and in positions of need. Like, yes. I think that's the key there. If we can continue doing this high school recruiting as well as we're doing, we can continue to utilize that portal to just kind of like pick here and there. Okay, we can take this. Yeah, we could use another wide receiver, but only if we, if it's this guy. Like, we don't have to have one. I love that type of mentality. Unlike you see other teams out there basically using the portal to build their team. And like, I love the fact that we don't do that. I think that's how, Eli talked about the camaraderie within the locker room, the culture there. I think that's all because of how well we do out of high school recruiting and then just picking up the positions of need out of that portal. What say you, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's why we've seen Josh Heupel succeed the way that he has so far at Tennessee, is because he is getting from the high school ranks, and they are doing a fantastic job of developing these young players into what they need them to be. The only question mark there, and I'll get to it here in a few minutes, is the offensive line. Like I said, I want to touch on that a little bit, but I'm going to wait a few minutes. But I absolutely think that, him being able to get these high school players, bring them in, develop them, but then go out to the portal and just pick and choose positions of need. And so far, for the most part, those people that they have picked and choose from in the transfer portal have been just stellar players. I mean, you look at Jermod McCoy, man. I mean, we never knew just how good he was going to be. You look at Brew McCoy a couple of years ago out of the portal. I mean, you look Lance Hurd, he hasn't just been that standout guy, but he's really come around this year. I mean, they've gotten some quality talent out of the portal. I mean, Holden Stays, McAllen Castles last year, and then this year, his name has slipped me. The other tight end,
Holden Stays.
No, the one from Alabama.
Miles Kisselman.
Yes, Miles Kisselman. Thank you. I don't know why that his name slipped.
Come on, man.
But he is. I mean, he has just been a huge part, and we talked about it earlier. He was projected to be the number 3 guy behind Holden Stays and Ethan Davis. Guy was our number 1 tight end for the majority of the year based on production.
I think he still is.
Yeah. So I think it's absolutely a fantastic thing that we're going to the high school ranks and building the team, but then going to that portal and just filling needs that you weren't able to get in your class to have success.
That's right, man. Overall, I think it's been a really good class. Obviously, would like to have maybe a little bit better. George McIntyre was a 5-star for the longest and then dropped to a 4-star. I think that kind of hurt a little bit because you thought that maybe this was the first time in a minute that you got 2 5-stars in a class. But, overall, I think Heupel's doing great work, in which everybody kind of doubted how well he was going to be able to recruit in the SEC coming from UCF. But, I mean, overall, what are your thoughts on how Heupel's been able to handle this?
Oh, he's been doing outstanding. And it's not so much, the ratings of the players. It's just the quality of players that you end up getting out of it. I mean, you can have 5 5-star players come out of a class, but if only one of them ends up working out the way that it needs to, or even if none of them do, what does that matter? I mean, you look at Philip Fulmer back in the day. He was never pulling 4 and 5 star players at a consistent basis. It was a lot of 3-star guys with a sprinkle of 4 stars, and you got the occasional 5-star.
That's right.
But it's how you build those guys to play the game whenever they get there. So I think that he is doing a fantastic job of getting the talented players in, but then having him and his staff develop those players.
Gotta credit. Chancellor Plowman, President Randy Boyd,
yes,
Athletic Director Danny White, Coach Heupel, Spire Sports, being able to get ahead of the game, when it comes to NIL and how to utilize it, how to do it the right way. They were all building this machine at the same time they were fending off the NCAA and those allegations. Like, the job they've been able to do behind the scenes that nobody even talks about anymore blows me away. All on top of Neyland and Knoxville looks like just a nonstop construction zone because they are renovating the crap out of Neyland Stadium. If you haven't been there in a minute, the north end zone versus the south end zone, I think I have that right. Riverside versus non-Riverside, all right, to put it in General Neyland's terms, just completely night and day different because they're working their way across. But, I mean, you've got what looks like, top-tier stadium on one side, the renovations they've done next to, like, the ball shop in the stadium, and then you go to the Riverside, it's still not done yet, but they're working on it. I love where this is going. They're just making just making the fan experience that much better, right? And they're doing all of this all at once. You're now fighting the transfer portal that just opened up, I believe, or is about to. I think it just opened up. But Nicole makes a good point. Says, to say that I say those that flip and go to other places, they weren't meant to be here. If they change their minds now, they might change it later. Yeah, it hurts to lose a good recruit, but I mean, I think that's a good point. If they're changing their mind now, what are they going to do after a year in the system or 2 years in the system? So I completely agree. But
and we'll hit the transfer portal before we close out tonight because there have been 5 players.
Let's go ahead and hit it, man, because I do have to wrap it up. But
I do have one thing I want to bring up just real quick. So
yeah, what's up?
The one position I do feel like that we need to see more from out of recruiting portal and all that is offensive line, because Tennessee has yet to have an offensive line recruit under Heupel that has started in a game and maybe even played a meaningful snap in a game. So can this be the first class that happens? I think with David Sanders being one of those guys that
I think you're going to see it next year, though. I think you're going to see it like William Satterwhite could be coming in after Cooper Mays. I think you're going to see that. Got 2 really good recruits on the inside, in the interior right here, right?
Yeah.
And then who was the other one? Right up. Let me just scroll up to it because is it Charles out? No, it's Nick Moore. There he is. 2 right there, hovering the line of 2 4-stars coming in on the inside. I do agree with you, but I think that's where Josh Heupel's like, you know what? That's the one position we need to go grab out of the portal. But he's not having to necessarily do that with every position.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. The offensive line is really the one position that has been a concern, I guess you would say, when it comes.
I think you're right
when it comes to development and stuff. But
he did pick up 3 signees that have signed this year, 2 on the interior, and then obviously David Sanders, that big one that's holding down the room. I think that's a good improvement. That's a good start for Josh in as far as recruiting offensive linemen here. But I think that's a good point. I think that's a great point.
All right, so transfer portal so far, there have been 5 guys, as I mentioned, that have entered. You've got Jordan Matthews, corner has entered. Jalen Smith, linebacker has entered. Caleb Webb, wide receiver. Khalifa Keith, running back. And Vyson Lang, the interior offensive lineman. So, Skylar, concern level for those 5 guys right there leaving the program?
On a scale of 1 to 10, a 2. I ain't even worried about it. This
right
team has shown me and proven to me that even if they do swing and miss on a couple of guys, other guys step up and they are really good at evaluating. Even if it, like, on paper looks like a lesser talent, they get the best out of them. And secondly, thirdly, whatever, They go and get that need in the portal. I mean, look at what the additions they've done. It's almost like every portal pickup that we get is a dog, right? Dante Thornton 2 years ago obviously didn't meet expectations last year, but look at him this year. You look at Gerard McCoy this year. Like, that dude is the best defensive back we got.
And that's the thing. You brought up the name right there. Jordan Matthews, 4-star. He's a freshman entering the portal. I mean, he wants to play right now. So I don't blame him for leaving because, look, Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson both have just done outstanding jobs this year. They're both coming back next year. So, I mean, obviously it hurts losing that depth with Jordan Matthews, but I don't blame him for leaving necessarily because he wants to go get playing time now. We talked about Khalifa Keith earlier. He sees the writing on the wall. He's the fourth man behind Deshaun Bishop and Cam Seldon and Peyton Lewis next year. He wants to go and he wants to have his own career as well. Caleb Webb. I mean, you look at the talent that's in front of him right now. You still, you got Thornton, you got McCoy, and you've got Squirrel White that are ahead of him. Now, Dante Thornton and Brew McCoy will be gone next year, but you got Squirrel White, you got Mike Matthews, you got Chaz Nimrod, you've got you've got a number of wide receivers ahead of him. The other freshman, the name blank.
Braylon Staley.
Yes, Braylon Staley. I mean, you've got all sorts of talent there. And, Caleb Webb was just that guy that you could put in there. He could make a play, but he wasn't going to be a consistent guy on the field when you've got those other guys there. I'm with you. My concern level is at a 2, maybe even closer to a 1 with these guys right here. I wish them nothing but the best. And so far, I've not seen a single person on this list say a bad thing when leaving Tennessee. I think it's literally they just see the writing on the wall.
Other than that one guy who was spotted at a concession stand during his team's football game in Louisville. Can't think of his name.
He never played for Tennessee. I don't know what you're talking about. He was on campus for a year, but he didn't really play for Tennessee. So.
Brazel's another one. Yep, Brazel. But I think he's actually really good. I think we haven't done good enough job as an offense getting him the ball. Brazel's made some great catches, just not really had that great game yet. I think Brazel's a really good talent. I think you're going to see him in year 2 really pop off. I do have to wrap it up. I got a wife waiting on some dinner. Let's wrap this thing up. Can we hit? I'm just going to bring it up because I think it's worth bringing it up. I think this is what you would be really happy about. But there's going to be a new number 1 team in men's basketball coming up tomorrow in Monday's rankings. And do you have a guess on who it's going to be?
If it's not the Vols, you might see me riot on social media. I mean, because literally every single top 5 team this past week in college basketball got beat except for Tennessee.
Tennessee.
And Kansas, who was number 1, went down again today to Missouri. Shout out Skeeter to your Missouri Tigers.
He's really embracing the 7 toes.
So, funny thing, Skeeter, and I'm not going to pull up the actual username for, personal or for privacy reasons, but your name actually popped up on my Snapchat this past week.
There you go.
I screenshot it and sent it to Skylar. Love that you bring up the 7 toes in your username. So
he's really embraced it. He's really.
We had a fantastic laugh over that, but guys, we really, really appreciate all of you tuning in.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Anyways.
Yeah, guys, like I was saying, we really, really appreciate all of you tuning in tonight. We had a consistent 25 viewers on Facebook/YouTube. And
I ain't even done yet. I
was going to say, we had a consistent 10 to 12 on Twitter tonight.
It's been a great show. Show. Y'all made this possible. Again, guys, if y'all haven't subscribed, please do so. Who are the only 2 basketball teams right now still undefeated?
In men's and women's?
Men's and women.
It's the Vols, man. I mean,
best athletic department in the country. I don't care.
Lady Vols with
I opened the show with it.
Victories.
I opened the show with it. I will end the show with it. You got a baseball team, a softball team that should have went to the freaking World Series. Got put out in the Supers, but you've got a baseball and a softball team who worked wonders. Right, got to the final 16 if you want to call it that. But basketball team went to the Elite 8. You had the baseball team win the Natty, and now you've got a football team that's going to the playoff. And man, this train's rolling. And this is, I think, what the nation was kind of scared of. Because we're the fan base that if we were to pull off a football championship, you ain't keeping us out the streets. Like, we are burning it down. Like, it is.
What did Ron Slay say back earlier this year? Don't let Tennessee win no national championship.
No, don't.
This earth is, you know it, will be gone.
We'll be gone. We'll be gone. It is, absolutely. Vols are the best everything school in the top 10. Yeah, top 10 in all three big sports. But, guys, we're doing things in the women's, and we're holding standards in the women's just as high. I mean, you look, we fired Kelly Harper for making a Sweet 16 because we knew we could do better. And now look at what we're doing under Kim Caldwell. I mean, we're undefeated. We just beat Iowa. And to stay undefeated, like, we're doing big things here on Rocky Top. Just wanted to end with that note to kind of send y'all on y'all's way. We will be back live again next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here, previewing a little bit further about that Ohio State matchup. Going to be really fun. Going to be making picks throughout the entire playoff bracket. It's going to be fun.
And I'm going to be working on getting a good friend of ours on for the Ohio State preview as well. So hopefully he'll be on next week. Hope you all can join us. Appreciate you all tuning in tonight. And guys, go Big Orange.